right. Welcome back, Canada Catholic. Get out, Mr. Levine. Yeah. All right. So anyway, welcome back. So this is the first of 3 flips that are going to be going 1, 2, 3, all in a row. All right. Your next big grades are going to be contingent on you doing these next 3 days worth of flips. So listen closely when I say this. These are not flips you can miss. Got it? You have flips tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday night. Don't mess this up, all right? So anyway, with that, with the assignments that you'll be doing tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, all of those are going to go together to create 2 quiz grades, okay? So if you do those well, those will be 2 phenomenally good scores for you. If you do them phenomenally well and blow them out of the water, I might even consider dropping your lowest quiz grade and replacing it with this good one. If you've got good quiz grades, I might bump your lowest test grade up by a letter grade. Think about that, all right? So make sure we're getting all these flips on. But let's continue where I left off in my first period class. We were talking about how Napoleon invaded the Holy Roman Empire in 1806. He creates a new idea for Europe. He wants to create a unified European state with French culture at the heart of it, right? Of course, this is an influence of his own nationalism. But then Prussia was allowed to stay independent. So a bunch of German states were now controlled by France, okay? The biggest issue that you have with this entire thing is that Germans are beginning, under French occupation, are beginning to see themselves as different, right? They are like, wait a minute, we have a different culture, heritage, language. We have a different diet, clothing, everything. Die ganze Zeit, everything about them is different, all right? So they begin to call themselves German. They don't say, they're beginning to say, no, I'm not Prussian, I'm German. No, I'm not Bavarian, I'm German. No, I'm not from Schleswig, I'm German, all right? So German-speaking people are going to start demanding a unified German state. You need to jot this down, though, okay? Real quick, put this in there. Very important. What was I going to say? I forgot. Oh, yeah. 1815. Now, my first period, you already have this written down. My third period, you already have this written down. But I don't know about my 7th period because I'm doing this before class. 1815 is a monumental year. It is when Napoleon has finally been banished. All right? Because we got Battle of Waterloo. Let me double check something real quick. Yep. At the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, Napoleon loses after his 100 Days campaign, and he is exiled to the island of St. Helena, where he dies in 1821 from stomach cancer. All right? So now, you've got an issue. The problem, in 1815 was you have all of these places that Napoleon took over and changed. He was like, no more Holy Roman Empire, because that doesn't exist anymore. You're now the Confederation of the Rhine. No more this, that, or the other. You're now this, that, or the other. And so when he leaves, Italy is all broken up, and Germany is all broken up. So Italy, of course, unifies itself in 1861. But in 1815, there was a meeting called the Congress of Vienna. And at the Congress of Vienna begins to discuss how do we split up the things that Napoleon had conquered. All right, write this part first. It was all about this concept called the balance of power. All right, the balance of power. How do we make sure that the big head honchos in Europe still have their power? And how do we make sure that the smaller countries are kept under control, right? So at the Congress of Vienna, there is a discussion about creating a unified German state. And what has ended up being formed is this thing called the German Confederation. Before the Congress of Vienna, there were over 300 different German-speaking principalities, all right? These little things that run around all over. Say principality one time. Principalities were ruled over by local princes that then reported to the Holy Roman Emperor, right? So in these 300 different principalities, they decided to create a German Confederation that combined them into a more manageable 39 principalities, right? That is huge. But the main problem, don't write this. That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. He's gone. He owns nothing, all right? Your real issue is the fact that Napoleon and his efforts are just still kind of hanging around. You have an issue. The old Holy Roman Empire is now around again. It's just called the German Confederation, right? And also, though, one man takes huge issue with it. He was like, you know what? I am Prussian. I am sick and tired of this. I want a unified German state. Without Austria, because they stink and I don't like them, all right? We need a German country. We need it means lesser Germany, but what's it called? No, it's not Kleinfeld. Smaller German state. Oh, here it is. Kleinstadtare. Kleinstadtare, or something like that. I'll look it up. But it means a smaller Germany. They want a Germany that is away from the Austrians so they can create their own thing, right? So he does a lot of different stuff, but this man's name is so important, and he is so influential. He is Otto von Bismarck, and he becomes the Chancellor of Germany, right? So, or Prussia. Now, Chancellor is not king. It's very, very different. A Chancellor is very different. A Chancellor is an assistant to the king, so he's not subject to the same rules that a king is, right? Bismarck is phenomenally important, though. He uses two huge methods to unite Germany together, right? First of all, he believes in two different things. He wants to improve the military and improve the lives of the people, right? In his military campaign, he is very famously known for a speech that he gave. And in that speech, it's known as the Bluteisen speech. And Bluteisen means blood and iron, because in his speech, he said some of the most gratifying words. Germany will not be united by pens and papers. It will be united by blood and iron, right? That speech called for authority, military strength, and also write this one down, industrialization. After this speech and under Bismarck, Germany industrialized like it was going out of style, all right? Because they had a lot of iron and coal reserves, a lot like Britain, right? And then he also came with this other thing that's very important. Put a star next to it. Realpolitik, which is realistic politics, right? He wanted to make laws based on current needs. So he created social welfare programs, public education, a lot of different very, very intense, very practical politic moves. And this is him right here. I want this shirt so bad. That is Bismarck, and it says blood and iron. Otto von Bismarck. He's the man. Go away, Jake von Hoot. Now, Prussia is going to begin to expand, right? And they do this by annexing a lot of other German states, right? So they begin to go in, and they're like, you know what, Brandenburg, you're with us. And they annex them in, right? Annex means take control of, or kind of usurp, right? But then he realizes the only way we're going to create a German state is by showing the rest of Germany that we have the power to be German. So he's got to win some wars, right? So he goes through 3 small but very intense wars, all right? So the first one is called the Schleswig War, right? The second Schleswig War, which is Austria and Prussia versus a place called Denmark, right? You know what Denmark is. So Denmark tried to annex German territories of their own. After Napoleon left, Denmark was like, oh, you see these 2 little places called Schleswig and Holstein? They belong to us now. And the Prussians were like, oh, no, no, no. Germans live there. They speak German in these places. You will not touch them. Austria, come help us get these fools because you own one of them. You own Schleswig. We want Holstein. Help us come get them. So the Austrians and Prussians unite together, and they smack Denmark in the face within 9 months. Prussia comes out victorious, right? So Holstein comes in, but then Schleswig's up here, right, hanging out. And the problem was Austria wants to use Schleswig because of its ports and stuff, right? So they're like, hey, Prussia, can we pass through this big North German Confederation you have now, this big old chunk of stuff up here, to get to Holstein? And they're like, or to get to Schleswig, and the Germans like, no, you can't go through there. Those are Prussian territories. We're becoming Germany. We don't like you, Austria. You think you're better than us. And so Austria and Prussia go to war over this little area outside of Denmark, right? and that's the Austro-Prussian War, right? And it only lasted 7 weeks because the Prussians came in and were like, and it was all because of this thing. Check this out. It's called the needle gun. All right, so this thing, not the one from Halo, the Dreise, fine, I'll do the Dreise needle gun. It's called the Dreise needle gun. Now, this gun, developed by a German-speaking Prussian man known as the Dreise needle gun, was the very, very first breech-loading weapon the Prussians had it, the Austrians didn't. The Prussians could let off 5 shots in the same amount of time it took a trained Austrian soldier to let off 2. All right, so now you're talking about a huge military and technological advantage. Because in the Dreise needle gun, it was the very first gun to have a firing pin in it. When you pulled the trigger, a small needle came out and hit this little bullet packing, looked a lot like an acorn, that you would slip. You would actually remove the bolt, slip the packet in, reload it, and then go pow, and then bang, reload, boom, pow. You would have to do it one at a time, but still you could let off 5 shots, and the amount of time it took an Austrian to let off 1 or 2 on a good day, right? So they work Austria and Prussia in this war. And then you've got this other big one, the Franco-Prussian War, right? So there's this big area in the lower part of Germany known as Bavaria. Now, Bavarians are predominantly Catholic, and they liked Austria a lot more than they liked Prussia, but they wanted to stay independent. The other bad thing about it is you've got the French, and the French are very nervous, right? They're currently being led, write this down, by Napoleon III, Napoleon's nephew, right? They went through a lot of traumatic stuff after their revolution. They got slowly rebuilt, you know what I mean? The Congress of Vienna was like, we won't destroy you, France, but you're going to need to fix some things. So they start getting worried about how fast Germany's growing, right? And then in 9 months, they lose a war to Prussia because they thought they could start some stuff. It was all actually started over some smack talk. There's this thing called the Ems telegram. Bismarck posted this thing known as the Ems telegram because he was like, hey, guess what? We're not afraid of you, France. And France attacked them. And then in 9 months, Prussia works its way inside of France, and then sets up a blockade outside of Paris. And then the Parisians started starving to death, and they actually had to resort to eating zoo animals. All right, now, because they have now become this giant Confederate German empire after the Franco-Prussian War, actually also the biggest middle finger that the Germans ever gave the French, they proclaimed Germany a country for the first time in 1871 in the Palace of Versailles. Absolutely hilarious. And when this happened, don't write William, write Wilhelm, W-I-L-H-E-L-M. The first takes the title of Kaiser, or Emperor of Germany, right? Of all the German states after winning the war against the French. And he establishes a new German-based government. They unite under one language, one culture, one credo, one currency, one everything German, right? A national anthem is created. Everything is German. That is their national language. Their food is culturally German. Everything becomes German. And Germany also grows in strength, right? They begin to strengthen their country through rapid industrialization. They make themselves an extremely wealthy country and a powerhouse in Europe by growing its industry as fast as they can, okay? Go ahead and let's keep moving. I don't want this thing to be too long, all right? So this was possible, though, because Germany had a lot of these different things. Go ahead and pause it, jot these things down, and then I'm going to talk about them, all right? All right, cool. So I'm going to get after it now. They had large amounts of coal and iron, right? They had also a very educated workforce because they created more schooling opportunities for their people. They had a massive amount of population growth. 26 million people in 43 years. That's 604,000 extra people every year. That's crazy. They put railroads down all over everything, right? Sorry, I got a notification. They discovered how to produce German steel. Steel is stronger, lighter, and it's also much more flexible than iron, right? They applied science to their economics by creating new chemicals and dyes, and they also created a single currency known as the Deutsche Mark. That I don't need. But then you had this idiot. Kaiser Wilhelm, W-I-L-H-E-L-M, it must have auto-corrected on me, the second. This is the son of Wilhelm the First. Look at that mustache. This guy is an idiot. He is arrogant. He is ridiculous. He is obnoxious. He leads directly to World War I. I hate this guy. Him and his stupid dead arm, all right? He had an arm, his left arm, hung limp at his side because it literally was dead. It didn't have any feeling in it or anything, and he didn't want to get it amputated because he thought it would be a sign of weakness. So every single time he would be in a picture, it would be from the torso up, or his hand would be propped up on top of a sword or something. He is also cousins to the leader of Russia and to the leader of Great Britain. So Kaiser Wilhelm II is an idiot. He does a lot of good things, like he creates social welfare programs, public schools, and a stronger military. But here's his problem. Next to these good things, write bad things. He fires Bismarck. What an idiot. He starts World War I. He gets into an arms race with the British. He tries to prove German dominance. Kaiser Wilhelm II is a total tool. He's an idiot. But that is it. This is where we're going to wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.